and welcome back to In the Minds of Madness. Now today we are going to be discussing video games, but it's not just going to be a general discussion like Lovecraftian video games. We're going to be talking about a certain type of video game, and a trend I've noticed recently with the gameplay genre. So what am I talking about when I say gameplay genre? In books and movies, you have one genre. You have the story genre. Is it horror? Is it action? Or is it mystery, suspense? Movies and books, they only have that one genre. That makes up the entire thing because it's telling a story. Video games have two genres. They have the story genre, and then they have the gameplay genre. While the story genre, just like how it sounds and what I've said, is the story. Is it a horror story? Is it some action-packed, adrenaline-filled story? Or is it a mystery? But that can change and be different than the gameplay genre. Now, these gameplay genres fall into categories like first-person shooters, action-adventure games, action RPGs, things like that. The genre is the explanation of the mechanics of the game. Like a first-person shooter, it's all from first person and you're shooting things. Very cut and dry. So, normally the story and the gameplay genre, they work together, but they're usually separate. But there has been a trend lately in the last year and a half that I've noticed with a specific gameplay genre, that is roguelikes. Now, what is a roguelike? They are all games that were inspired by an older game called Rogue, hence the name roguelike. In Rogue, it was ASCII graphics, which is the symbol graphics, and it was death was permanent, dungeon crawl. If your character died, your character was deleted, and you had to start all over from the beginning. It was known for its difficulty. And of course, this inspired a modern influx of roguelikes. A roguelike is a game that kind of has that core concept of Rogue. Its death is permanent, everything is procedurally generated. Every single time you play, it's going to be different, and high difficulty. Now, with the fact that roguelikes have that high level difficulty, some game developers decided to add new mechanics into these games. And some of these mechanics change the gameplay genre from just a simple roguelike. The mechanics are introduced because of the story genre. To make it fit the story genre, which is heavily Lovecraftian, it changed the mechanics. Now, of all these games, there are three that I'm seeing that kind of embody this change it from a basic roguelike to something else. Something more Lovecraftian. That is The Consuming Shadow, The Sunless Sea, and The Darkest Dungeon. One of the key mechanics that all three of these games have built in is a sanity score. Everything you deal with can drop your sanity. And some of these games, as your sanity drops, the game will mess with you. Which, from my last video, that whole slow and inevitable descent into madness is tied heavily into the Lovecraftian genre. So these games have an aspect of Lovecraftian horror built into the mechanics. That, and they are roguelikes. You're more than likely going to die. It's more, let's see how far I can get before I die, what I can accomplish. And some of these games, the story behind it is that hopeless story of, I'm probably not going to succeed. I am probably going to die, but I'm going to try anyway. Where you're playing normal people. So these games, they're showing a change from, as I said, the roguelike genre changing into a Lovecraftian horror gameplay genre. Because all these games, they've gotten major media coverage for indie games, of course, which is a couple thousand people talking about it and some Let's Players playing it. But they've been getting a lot of attention, especially The Consuming Shadow. The Consuming Shadow was created by Ben Croshaw, which is also, he is better known as Yahtzee for The Escapist. He does Zero Punctuation. This is his game. And he has a tendency to do these roguelike Lovecraftian games that are these heavy mechanic influence. So, at this point, I'm seeing, as I said, a transition from roguelikes to Lovecraftian horror. And I think that is amazing, because as these grow in popularity, because roguelikes for the last couple of years have been very, very popular, as these progress in popularity, then other people will start seeing what they've done and start taking those Lovecraftian mechanics and adding them to other gameplay genres. Like, we could see some Lovecraftian shooters that have like sanity meters and that distortion from going mad, things like that. And I think that'd be amazing. I personally love the games that try to mess with your head as you're playing through them. So that brings this video to a close. If you're interested in checking out these games and seeing exactly what I'm talking about, then there'll be links in the description below for their Steam pages. They're all on Steam now, so you can check them out, see if you'd like them, or actually download them and play them, because they all have positive reviews. They're all good games, and I highly suggest them. With that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.